while.
Yes.
No
I
B.
can see her.
No B.
Yeah, I do want.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Did everybody have a good week?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah? How did everybody like, doing a sauna every day?
No. Keep it at east.
It's the fountain of youth.
It's the fountain of youth.
Well, quite frequently, but every day.
I know, huh? It was a little crazy. It was a little crazy. Well, I have some wonderful news for you today. Did you know that the same power and presence that put the galaxies into their spin, the same power that works through the acorn to inspire it to grow into an oak tree, that inspires the bud to blossom, works through each and every one of us. This power helps us to transform judgment into compassion and hatred into love. And so with that, we will sing our theme song. Reach it. Okay. Because this song is about, have you noticed every time I start to sing the song, I always think about, wow, we really are free. We really are unlimited. Okay, so really imagine that today when we sing it. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. And Susan will read our daily word and our announcements.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
No, you're okay. I know.
Yeah.
Biblical.
Hey, ladies.
Okay, good morning. Our daily word for today, Deanna will like this, unstoppable.
Yeah, baby.
I am divine energy and I am unstoppable. I have hidden stores of power and energy deep within me. When I face an obstacle, I reach inward to access the divine power of God that supplies my every need. Like the wind, which can blow with the great power and force, yet remain unseen, the energy in me may not be visible, yet it is strong, vibrant, and ever-present. Through the power of God within, I am capable of accomplishing great things. As I learn to rely on this power, I unleash my full potential. I am eternally connected with my power source. It is divine. It is the energy of the universe, and it is unstoppable. I am this divine energy, and I cannot fail. From Luke 9, verses 1 and 2. Then Jesus called the 12 together and gave them power and authority over all the demons and to cure diseases. And he sent them out to proclaim the kingdom of God and to heal. Our affirmation again. I am divine energy and I am unstoppable.
I am divine energy and I am unstoppable. Unstoppable. Did Tony Robbins write that? You know how he always says unstoppable?
Oh, yes, he does.
I hope it sticks. You know what I just said.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Our announcements for today. In our Thursday evening book club, we are reading The Only Thing That Matters by Neil Donald Walsh. This is for August-September book club, but if you haven't jumped in, join anytime. We'd be glad to catch you up. We meet Thursdays at Deanna, 7 p.m., and we ask for a $5 love donation. Our September calendar is on the website, and our website is brightstarchurch.org. Sunday, September 8th, we're going to celebrate our September birthdays with just a cake. We usually do a potluck also, but we will be having the potluck on the autumn equinox. So September 8th, birthday Sunday, take home.
Birthday Sunday.
On Tuesday, September 10th, we'll have a vision board class at Deanna's house. It'll be from 7 to 9 p.m. Learn how a vision board acts with the subconscious mind to activate vision and attraction into your life. Supplies charge of $15. And if you don't know where Deanna lives, this is the lady to see.
Yes, I'll tell you.
She'll tell you. Our kids will be following with the Bright Star Youth Vision Boards on Sunday, September 15th. They'll make their vision boards during Sunday school at 10 a.m. On Sunday, September 22nd, the Autumn Equinox Potluck. This will happen after the service at Deanna's home here in Redlands. Please bring a dish to share and we'll celebrate the change of seasons together. We have some fundraisers starting. We're collecting books for a book and bake sale, which will be held the first Saturday in October. And also collecting teddy bears, kitchenware, and blue jeans for our volunteer eBay
And
seller,
Craigslist.
power seller,
Yes.
Craigslist seller,
Yes.
to facilitate that for us.
Yes.
It's also to raise money for the Bright Star teens and to cover some office expenses.
Yes.
Okay, Deanna.
Okay. Thank you so much, Susan. Also, I forgot to ask you this, but I've just printed up a little event schedule of classes that I offer at my house on Tuesdays this September.
Thursdays.
Tuesdays.
Oh, Tuesday.
Tuesdays. This coming Tuesday, I'm going to have one on clearing limiting beliefs. And so that'll be kind of doing energy work to clear out limiting beliefs. And then we have vision boards. And then Tuesday the 17th, I'm going to do a class on playing with energy. And you inspired it.
Really?
Because of a conversation we had. And it was just, we were just talking about all these metaphysical things. And but there are all different ways to sense energy, to see, sense, feel, to know it. So I thought I'm just going to offer a class. I'm going to show like a bunch of different ways that have worked for me. And then the last Tuesday will be a shamanic dreaming class, and you'll learn how to work with dreams.
Are they going to all be the same time?
Yes, always Tuesday, always 7 p.m., and always at my house. So the information's right there. Well, I titled my talk today, Just Add Light and Stir. And I just can't get over how cute that title is. It is so cute. Just Add Light and Stir. It's like a recipe, right? Because I think that our life is like a recipe. We add in certain things that make it delicious, and there are other things, sometimes we accidentally dump something in there that doesn't taste too good, right? Like I can remember one time mixing up baking soda with baking powder or something, and teaspoon with tablespoon or something like that, right? It was very odd what came out. Oh, and like one time I thought, well, I've heard you can substitute, if it's a cup of oil, you can substitute a cup of applesauce, right? Well, I was making zucchini bread, and I thought, well, I'll just substitute a cup of zucchini. And the recipe already called for like 4 cups of zucchini, right? It was very liquidy. Do you remember that, sweetie? That zucchini bread? It was very soft. My son and my daughter ate it, though. They thought it was pretty good. There's a story of Demeter. She was a Greek goddess. And Demeter had a daughter named Persephone. What? Demeter. Okay. Thank you. I didn't know that. Demeter. Okay. But she was the goddess of the harvest and of the crops, like an earth goddess, right? Well, her daughter Persephone, we've heard the story, right? She got taken away by Hades. He tricked her into eating some pomegranate seeds, right? So, right? Okay. Well, I did a little more research into this story. What I found out was Zeus had taken Demeter for a lover. They had Persephone. Persephone was Zeus's daughter. Okay? He has a lot of kids. He really does. Yeah, he was a rascal. A rascal. That's so sweet to say it that way. Well, Hades, the god of the underworld, goes to Zeus, and he says that he really likes Persephone and he wants to take her as his wife. And Zeus says, yeah, okay, go ahead. Zeus does not talk to Demeter.
Yes.
Demeter. Zeus does not talk to the mother of this young woman, right? Zeus does not talk to Persephone about this. He just tells Hades to go for it. Okay, so Persephone disappears. Demeter has no idea where her daughter has gone, and she is heartbroken, and she searches high and low. Okay, this is really hard to have a child disappear, right? She even goes to Zeus, and Zeus is just like, oh, I don't know. Right? I wouldn't worry about it. Okay? She finds out from another god, Helios, that Zeus gave Hades permission to take Persephone. Okay? Zeus knew about this. What Zeus did to both Demeter and Persephone was betray them. He betrayed them, and he lied to Demeter, a woman who he once took as a lover. He lied to her. Okay, so the story of this, and of course, is Demeter, she decided she was going to just not let life grow on this planet, right? And this is where the story of where autumn comes from, all the crops, all the plant life dies. It's because she's heartbroken. Well, see, in the story, Demeter lets this go on for a whole year. She is standing her ground, even at the cost of humanity. She is going to get her daughter back. Well, Zeus at this point is concerned about humanity, so he goes to Hades. He says, all right, you're going to have to let Persephone go, or we're just not going to have any people here anymore. So Hades says, well, this is fine, but she has to come back and stay with me a certain amount of time because of the pomegranate seed she ate. And so this is how it happens then. Demeter does get her daughter back for a certain period of time, but then Persephone goes back to the underworld. Demeter has to once again deal with the loss and the betrayal. Okay, because of course it all comes up again when she thinks about what Zeus allowed to happen. But then Persephone comes back, and the light comes back into Demeter. Okay, this is a cyclical thing that happens to her: loss and betrayal, recovery. Loss and betrayal, recovery. This is something that happens with us too. Okay, there are going to be periods in our life when things are great. Everything is working out so smoothly for us. And then we will experience betrayal or loss. And we'll work through that, because we always do, right? We always do. Here we are right now. We're here. We work through it. Things will improve. The light will come back. And then something else will happen. Okay? And so as I thought about this story, I was thinking about what she did to make the light return to her. And I thought, you know, we all have these tools also. We have so many things available to us to help us to get through these difficult times, right? They're here all the time. We just have to be able to recognize them. We just have to be able to have awareness that they're already here for us. Now, have you seen the movie Jumanji? No?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it is so adorable. It has Robin Williams in it.
No.
They're playing this weird game though, okay? And at one point there's this little boy who's being turned into a monkey. Somebody tells him, one of the other people says, go out to the shed and get an axe. They needed an axe. He runs out to the shed. The door on the shed is locked. There's like a deadbolt on there, right? He's pulling on it and pulling on it. Well, he sees the axe is leaning right against the door. He picks up the axe and he starts hacking on the door. And then he looks at the axe and he's just kind of, his look is just so comical and priceless. When I watch this on DVD, I rewind it and watch it like 5 times. It's my favorite scene in the movie. He had to get the awareness that he had the tool he needed already. He didn't have to bust through that door, right? We have all the tools we need already too. And when we have awareness, we know we don't have any door we have to bust through. Everything is always at our disposal if we can just recognize it. That's why I love the verse in Revelation. Scariest book ever, but I have set before you an open door. Okay, the door is open. So everything we need is always coming to us. So we have the tools, and we recognize those tools by adding light to any situation that we're in. Okay, so we add light. Okay, we just add light, and we start to have awareness of what we have available to us. Now, as we gain awareness, we get clarity, and when we have clarity, we receive inspiration, and we're able to move through any situation we may be going through. Problems become just situations or challenges, right? But when we have a problem, when we're fretting and concerned about something, we're looking outside of us to help fix this. When we're faced with a challenge, we know we have whatever it takes to move through it. And we're not blaming or worrying or anything like that. We're just like, okay, I got to get through this. How do I do this? What's going to help me? What's going to come to me? And so there are powerful methods for us to use to gain awareness. And I know in my own life, things that have made the biggest difference of all have been when I've added a new daily routine, okay, that helps me to connect to that light within me, okay, help me realign with it, right? We're not ever really disconnected, it just feels like it. And one of those tools is using meditation. Now, meditation is something that I have not personally used enough to be able to say from my own experience that it works, but I'm practicing it right now, and my goal is by the end of the year, I'm doing it either 5 days a week or every other day. Okay, so I'm practicing it now, I'm liking what I'm getting now, but I've known people in my life, and I knew them before they started doing meditation. And then I started noticing they were changing. They were more relaxed. They were less worried. And so I would notice this enough, I would say, what are you doing differently, right? Meditation. That's what they would tell me, meditation. Now, meditation has some wonderful side effects. It reduces stress, it reduces anxiety, depression, and improves brain function, right? And so improved brain function and reduced stress will help to improve our overall health so much, right? Because it frees us up. We stop creating all those awful stress hormones. Okay, so we can be lighter inside, right? One of the other practices that we can do, and I personally love this one, is keeping a gratitude journal. Now, I know I talk about a gratitude journal a lot, gratitude. I talk about it a lot, right? A lot. But I was thinking the other day about how the first time somebody recommended to me to do this was back when Macy was just a baby, and I was having to change offices. And it was just because in the office, the woman there just decided she didn't want massage therapists anymore. And it was nothing personal against me, but it was very stressful because it had been easy there, and I didn't want to have to move, and I was going to have to move. So somebody says, Deanna, you know, what would help is keeping a gratitude journal. And this is what I thought, right? I'm like, I'm already grateful for my kids. I'm already grateful I have a house, right? How's this going to help me, right? I'm supposed to be grateful I'm getting kicked out of my office. That's really how I felt. That's like what came through me, right? Well, I know. Well, a few years ago, I was having a really hard time, and I tried everything. And so finally I just thought, all right, I'm going to give this gratitude thing another try, right? That's just what I thought. And so this is what I put into practice. I would write out 10 things every morning, and then, but see, I would keep what I wrote pretty simple, right? So I might say, I am so happy and grateful that my kids helped me out today at the house. But then what happens is after I write those 10 things down, and I don't repeat myself for 7 days, okay? I say it out loud, and I say, I'm so happy and grateful that. And then I tell the story about why I'm grateful, right? And I learned this actually from a book that Susan and I did in a book club last year, The Magic. And, but see, I'll go back now and I'll say, I'm so happy and grateful that my kids helped me out at the house today. They work through chores so quickly, and they are so helpful and supportive. I love how much they help me at church. I even love how they support me if I like write a new poem or something, and I'm like, kids, come here, you need to hear this. And they just come, and they'll listen, and they'll be like, good job, Mom. They're just always supportive, and I appreciate that so much. And then I'll say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, now, after you've gone through 10 of those, okay, 10 of those, you start to feel pretty good, or you really do, and I know this from experience. Now, I've recently discovered Dr. David Hawkins he wrote a book called Power versus Force, and I've seen this book for at least the last 12 years on every Unity Church bookshelf, every Science of Mind bookshelf. This book is everywhere, right? But I just thought the title was funny, so I never read it before. But recently I was inspired, I know,
What is it?
Power versus Force by David Hawkins,
Is he
Dr.
an
David Hawkins.
atheist writer?
No. And so, but he has a chart that's called the Levels of Consciousness chart. And I was reading the levels of consciousness, right? And so shame, what he did was he went through and he muscle tested and found a vibration for every emotion. Shame vibrates really low at 20. Okay, I don't know what it's 20 what, okay, whatever that is, but it has to do with just energy and vibration, which I have experienced, so I know this. Okay, then there's fear vibrates at 100. At 200 vibrates courage. Now anything under 200, that is a negative emotion vibration, and that's going to cause us to not feel good. We won't be inspired. Life is going to feel thick and muddy, and we will not be able to move through that very easily. Okay? Now, from 200 to 400, the vibration, that is a happy and productive life. Okay? Life is just pretty good, right? It's fine. It's fine. In fact, I think he said the majority of Americans vibrate around, 280, 320, somewhere in there. Now, at the level of 400 is understanding, and from 400 to 500 is peak performance without stress. Okay, that's a nice high vibration. Now, 500 is the level of love. Okay, so anything from love or above is synchronicity and extraordinary outcomes. Now, if you think about this, when you've been feeling just really in tune with the universe and really excited and enthusiastic, really neat things just seem to happen in our lives, right? So, what I did as part of my daily practice that I've added to this gratitude list is I muscle test myself first to see where I fall on this level of consciousness chart. All right, and I'm usually around 300, which is around optimism.
What are you testing? With what kind of equipment?
I'm using my own body for muscle testing. Okay, have you ever seen people do that? And oh, okay, well I can show you that later. Or you can come to my class, Playing with Energy, and you can learn how to do this. Okay, but you can actually muscle test, and it makes you, if it's a positive statement, it makes you stronger. If it's a negative statement, it makes you weaker. And so the muscles will go down easier if it's a false statement, okay? So anyway, I muscle test myself first thing in the morning, like after I made coffee, after Dave leaves for work, after the kids go to school, I muscle test myself. And it's around 300, optimism. I sit down and I do my gratitude list. And I go through and say all my gratitudes out loud, and I muscle test myself, and I go right to 510. I raise my own vibration through this process of gratitude. Now, our vibrations are up and down all day long, right? Because the vibration is connected to our energy. And we've felt our own energy when we are enthusiastic. But you know what? We've also sensed it when we've gone into a room where there's been an argument, right? Or it's a job you don't like or something. What do you feel? You just drop, right? It's because there's a lower vibration there. And it sucks the life out of us. It really does, right? But when we've gone somewhere happy, right, it's like, it goes up, okay? And that's all energy. It's just all energy that's doing that. And so we always can feel where our own energy is. Now, I love the gratitude because during the day, if I find myself feeling really blah, I'll think, I'm blah, I can just do some gratitude right now, and it will make me feel better. That is why it's a good tool. It's a good tool for bringing light in, okay, because it can change us right away. So we start feeling better, so we can start handling things that come our way. Now, there was studies done, and it was found that people who have a regular practice of gratitude, they are less envious, more optimistic, less materialistic, more spiritual. They have increased self-esteem, improved decision-making, and improved health. So I like that. Even for gratitude, if all I got out of that was improved decision-making, right? That's a really good thing to have, right? Increased health, that's wonderful. Another powerful tool then, also to bring in light, is affirmations. We've all heard of affirmations, and a lot of us probably do affirmations. This is another one that I have had personal success with, but it takes a load of commitment, loads, because everything we say all day long is an affirmation, right? Everything. And so with our affirmations, we want to make sure we have the right one picked out for us. And then we commit to that, and then we pay attention to the other things we're saying throughout the day. Because the brain, it will hear an affirmation, it will process it and send it through our subconscious mind. Okay, but it hears everything as an affirmation stated in the positive. So if we say, man, I wish I didn't have such a hard life. That used to be how I did affirmations. I would think about what was really bugging me, and then I'd say I didn't want that. Oh, I don't want my life to be so hard, you know? But see, the brain just hears life is hard, life is hard. Even questions, like if we ask ourselves negative questions like, why do I work with so many annoying people? What the brain hears is, I work with so many annoying people. It doesn't put it in the frame of a question, it just files it. It just files it. So what's nice about picking our own affirmations and doing those is that as we practice them, we say them out. I don't know. I used to like to say them like when I was driving in the morning someplace, right? And then I would just try to remember to do them out throughout the day. But when we start practicing regularly affirmations, we start noticing when we've gone to our habitual thinking. Okay, oh, why is this happening again, right? Now I'll notice that and I'll just say, like, why is this person driving me crazy again? And my current affirmation is, oh, God sends me only angels. Right? God sends me only angels. So we want to be able to pick something out that is simple and believable for us. That's really important too. Now, some affirmations I use now that I find simple and believable now, I didn't find believable, a couple years ago, and so I didn't use them, but now I do, and they are, I live in a friendly universe. I remember the first time I tried using this one, it's like, I live in a friendly universe. That's why all these crazy things are happening. That's what I would have to follow up with something like that. But now I feel pretty good about it, so I like to say it. I just do like to say it. The universe supports me. That's another one I like to say now. The universe supports me. I am made of light. Now, what I started off saying when I was doing affirmations was, things end up going my way. Right? That one worked for me so well, and I still use it sometimes if I'm feeling really down. Things end up going my way. They usually always do. That's just what happens. Things are getting better and better. Okay, I like that one. Things are getting better and better. This is getting easier and easier. Wow, every day it's getting easier for me to remember a positive affirmation and not complain. Every day. Every day I gain more clarity. Okay, I like that one. So these daily routines, they help us to create new unconscious habits. So we want them to become unconscious so they're just automatically happening for us, right? And that's where change comes for us, right? Have you ever heard of a term called unconsciously competent? Have you ever heard that? I had never heard it. I just learned this one a few months ago. Unconsciously competent is when we make choices for our highest good without thinking about it. Now, we get a lot of stuff programmed into us, right, that we're unconsciously doing. Like when I type my password into my computer, I'm doing it unconsciously, right? I could be reading something else and still type my password in. But if I stop and think about it, I'm typing in my password, and then I'll be like, what was that? Or it's happened to me at the store, and I'm punching in my ATM code. If I think about it first, I get stuck. I'm just like, what was that? I have to okay, think about something else. And then it happens. I find myself now thinking of positive affirmations, and it surprises me. I'm like, oh, I just thought of a positive affirmation. That was wonderful. I'm so glad I did that. Now, something else that we can do that makes a big difference for us is we give up our old stories, okay, that are not bringing us to our brightest self, right? We give up those stories, we change them. So we have these new positive stories. I had this stepdad, and he died about 10, 11 years ago. But when I was in high school, okay, this was in the 80s, he was 15 years older than my mom. And so in the 80s, he would talk about how everything was so great in the 50s, okay? Houses were cheaper in the 50s. Houses are too expensive now. Okay, cars aren't fast enough now. In the 50s, you could get a Corvette and it didn't have all this regulation stuff in it that would slow you down. Okay, and it was just all these crazy things. He was really stuck in the past. Now, that was his story then, was that life is harder now. Things are not good now. That was his story. And I was exposed to that story every day as a kid. Now, my husband and I, we still, every once in a while, we'll catch ourselves thinking, remember in the 90s when everybody was spending money? Remember that? Remember in the 90s when you could get a house for, whatever? Right? So I do find myself going there sometimes. Sometimes we may do that. Okay, we may go back to an old story, and it may be because things were better, and it may be because things were worse. Okay, but we find this old story and we go back to there. Now, when we get stuck there, we are giving away our power. Okay, because if we're looking at an old story in our life, and we're unhappy because that story happened, then what we're saying is, that story should have made me happy. That's what should have happened. And so our control then is outside of us, right? It's something outside of us that's supposed to make us happy. That stuff's not supposed to make us unhappy. It's supposed to make us happy. Okay, so Wayne Dyer had a really wonderful example for this. He calls it the wake of the boat. And if you watch a boat out on a lake, and it's a motorboat, there's a bubble of water behind it that follows it, right? Because it's churning up the water. But if you're from another planet and there are no lakes on your planet, and you see this, what it might look like is the bubbles are pushing the boat, right? But they're not. There's something that we leave behind. Okay, so when we can let go of those old stories, and a lot of those stories, we embellish on them a little. Okay, we embellish. I used to watch my dad, my stepdad would embellish, right? To hear him say it, if you lived in the 50s, you know, magic dust would fly around and money would fall out of the sky, right? That's how the 50s were. Everybody had 4 Corvettes in their garage, okay? That's how the 50s were. He embellished. But I know I embellish on my past, and on some situations I make it worse, right? Like, I didn't go to college right out of school. Well, the fact is, I was offered a job right out of high school, and I went and took it. But there were a few years where my story was, man, my parents kicked me out of the house. I couldn't even go to college. That was so far from the truth. It was my choice. It was my choice. But later on, I was like, man, I should have just gone to college. I should have stayed home and gone to college. Is what whatever, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? So we embellished some of those. One time we lived in this house where we had this neighbor, and she was saying how her divorce ruined her life. And like her ex-husband did all these horrible things. And when I heard her story, I thought this had just happened. And I found out it was like 20 years earlier. Okay? So that was a long time to be hanging on to that.
You gotta get over it.
Yeah, that's a long time. But we're giving our power away. So we want to tell a better story. And one of the great things about telling a better story is it makes us remove those labels we label about ourselves. Okay? We call ourselves abandoned, abused, unappreciated. Basically, all of those labels, they're victim. That's what the label all means. All of them are victim labels. Okay, we start telling the truth about ourselves. Okay, we are an infinite being in a body. We have the divine energy flowing through us that also put the galaxies into their spin. Okay, we have a creative monster living inside of us, right? Okay, we have all had moments of inspiration. We've all had brilliant ideas, right? So we are capable of this divine creativity. We're capable of tapping into that divine mind, receiving divine guidance, okay? Telling a brighter story about ourselves so that our life looks brighter, right? And all we have to do is just change our story. My biological father abandoned me and my mom before I was even born. And I had years of my life when I'd be like, I was abandoned. If my father had been in my life, I would have high self-esteem, you know, and I would have, you know, whatever. I always was like, I would have this if my dad had stayed around, right? But then I met somebody who was like, I had the worst father ever. And she was going on about how now she wouldn't speak to her father. And I was like, that's really interesting, because really you just never know. You never know. And so what I did was I decided to change my story. And I looked at the people in my life who did give me all those things that I wanted, who thought I was a brilliant, beautiful child, right? Not just a biological dad sees that. There are a lot of people that see that. And now my story is that because I know how important it is to not be an abandoner, I see kids differently. And that's why I want to teach kids at my daughter's junior high school or her high school, right? Because I want them to recognize that what it is inside them that they need is already there. They don't need somebody else to give them permission to see it. They don't need somebody else to say, oh, I see this about you, so it's true, right? So we tell a brighter story, we live a brighter life, okay? And it makes me feel good. Our past is gone, it's behind us. We could get amnesia and someone could tell us a wonderful story about our past, right? You're from another planet and these evil aliens were coming to take you because you were a princess or a prince. And so now we've hidden you among this planet Earth and there are people all around you who are hiding in plain sight, who love you and support you. Right? How would that change your story to think there was love and support all around you in many forms? And it's there, really, it actually is there, and it's been there for a long time. Wayne Dyer also says, there are no justified resentments. Okay, now when I thought about this a lot, because some of my resentments, I'm pretty sure, are pretty justified. Okay, but see, realizing that there are no justified resentments actually helps us to tell a better story. Resentment gives us an excuse to stay the same. And when we are resenting somebody, we're not making choices for our highest good. Okay? I had never thought about that in those terms until I read that from Dr. Wayne Dyer. We're not making choices when we are resenting somebody. So when I was thinking about this person that I resented from a few years ago, I then started thinking about a conversation with God, that we had about God sending us only angels. And then I thought about his story, the little soul and the sun. And I've told this story before. I don't know if everybody's heard it, but there's basically this little soul. And the little soul says, oh, I'm so happy, I'm light, I'm love, life is beautiful. But then one day he's like, well, what does that mean? What does it mean not to be light and love? Because that's all his experience was, right? That's the only thing. Well, he found out that he could come to Earth, have an experience where he could learn about anything he wanted. So then he could learn what light and love really were. And so he's talking to all the other souls, his friends, and they've been there. They've done that, right? He tells them, I want to learn about forgiveness. Now, these souls, they've had the experience. They know that to learn forgiveness means you are going to have a really hard time because you don't learn forgiveness when everybody around you is just loving and supportive all the time, right? We have to have lessons that teach us forgiveness. We have to have a villain come into our life, right, to teach us forgiveness. So this little soul says, all right, who's coming with me? Who's going to come help teach me forgiveness, right? And all the souls are just like, they're like, we gotta go. We gotta go find some angels. And so this one soul came forward though, and she says, all right, I'll go. But I don't want to. That's what she implied. I will go, but you have to do this one thing for me. If I go with you, I'm going to forget who I really am. And in that moment, when I do the most terrible thing to you, the most terrible thing that I could do, if you forget who I am also, we are both lost. So this made me look at, in my life, at people I had been resenting. Okay, people who I thought had ruined beautiful things, right? People I thought had just done bad things or stupid things or slowed down the planet or whatever, right? I don't need a good reason to resent somebody, right? Does anybody? Now, when we forget who they are, we're actually forgetting who we are too. Because when we remember who we really are, that we're light in motion, okay? We're an infinite being in a body. When we know that about ourselves, we just know that about everybody. And we know that behavior is behavior. It's not who anybody is. Okay, so when we forget that, we are lost. We are lost. And so then I thought about the people who I had resented, and I thought, what if that was the conversation I had before I came here? I want to learn forgiveness. And what if that person in their soul form said, all right, Deanna, I'll come with you, but I need you to remember. Now, in the story of the little soul and the sun, she loved him greatly. That's why she agreed to do that. That's why she agreed to play that part. Okay? Who loves us greatly? Right? Who loves us greatly? And we don't know who loves us greatly if we forget who we are and if we forget who they are. Now, in the story of Demeter held her ground because she was not going to go on until her daughter was returned to her. She was not going to change things until her daughter was returned. Demeter.
That's it.
Demeter. I'll get used to it one of these days. Persephone represented Demeter's light. Okay? She was the metaphor for her light. Okay? Now, when we stand our ground, we demand to have returned to us what is true about us, okay? That we are light, that we are aligned with light, that light works through us, okay? That is when we activate all of these tools of light. That is when we start moving through the difficult situations and just see them as challenges, okay? But we have to demand to have that return to us. We have to demand. And when we are asking for awareness, when we're practicing these tools and getting the awareness, okay, we are seeing the light again. Okay, we have the light coming back into our life and working through us so that everything starts moving forward for us again, so that we can once again move toward that brightest version of ourselves. So we just demand it. Demand the light back, right? Just add light back into our lives and stir. So until next time, I want you to remember that you are a divine child of a loving Creator. You are a force for good. You are a light, and you light the way with every beat of your heart and with every breath you take. You are radiating light and love into the world around you. You do not walk this path alone, and every step you take, you are blessed. And so it is. Craig, could you reach behind you and grab that prayer box? Send some love. Okay, we're going to start the prayer box going around the room, and so as it comes to you, just add your own light. And for the rest of us, we'll just go ahead and center ourselves. And we feel how the light moves through us. We see our own heart center, a golden ball of light, and we just see this light expand around us. This is our connection to heaven on earth. And we think about the prayers in this box right now from people who maybe we don't know them yet. They are still yet to come into our lives. Maybe we do know them. But we know they have a concern. And so we send light to them, into their life. We remember who they really are. We remember that for them in case they've forgotten. We remember that in the realm of heaven or light or love, however you want to see it, everything is already whole and beautiful and filled with love. And we know we can bring that through us. We know they can bring that through them too. And we see that for them. We think about any of our own cares or concerns, and we put those into the light. If there's something worrying us right now, something we're concerned about, we just ask for an extra boost of light and love to go into that. We know that an unlimited force works through us. We know that at any moment we can receive inspiration on what our next step will be. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much.